Imagine waking up to find your paycheck just got slashed. Not because of inflation, but because the government changed the rules. That's exactly what happened to hundreds of thousands of US workers under a new Trump-era policy. In this video, we'll break down why this happened, what it means for you, and how it fits into a larger pattern of wage cuts, privatization, and attacks on both US and global workers. Recent moves by the Trump administration have brought dramatic changes to federal contracting, public services, and immigration policy. These decisions are not just about efficiency or economics. They're about shifting power, wealth, and stability in ways that affect everyone. From wage cuts for federal contract workers to the push to privatize Amtrak and the post office, and the economic shockwaves of anti-immigrant policies, we'll explore what's really going on and why it matters. Under US law, any business working on contract for the federal government is required to pay a specific minimum wage, higher than the national minimum wage of $7.25. This federal contract minimum had been raised over time, reaching $17.75 per hour. But under the latest Trump administration, this wage floor was eliminated, dropping pay for many workers back to $13.30 per hour or even lower. This is not just about inflation eroding buying power. It's a direct, deliberate cut to wages for hundreds of thousands, even millions of workers. The impact is immediate and severe, a significant reduction in income for those who can least afford it, and a clear signal that protecting workers is not a priority. Elon Musk recently voiced support for privatizing Amtrak and the post office, echoing a long-standing right-wing argument. If these services don't make a profit, they should be run by private companies. But this argument ignores the real purpose of public services like Amtrak and the post office. They are not meant to turn a profit. They are meant to serve the public. If Amtrak were run for profit, ticket prices would skyrocket, and businesses that rely on rail transport would face higher costs. The same goes for the post office. Lower mail costs benefit everyone, including private businesses. Privatization would mean higher prices, reduced service, and profits for a few at the expense of the many. When the United States deports large numbers of people or blocks immigration, the consequences ripple far beyond our borders. For example, in 2024, Mexico received $64.7 billion in remittances from its citizens working in the United States. This money is a lifeline for families and a major part of the Mexican economy, about 4% of its GDP. The story is even more dramatic in Central America and the Caribbean. For Nicaragua, remittances account for 27% of GDP. For Honduras, 25%, El Salvador, 23%, Guatemala, 19%, Haiti and Jamaica, 18%. These economies rely heavily on money sent home by immigrants working in the United States. If these workers are deported or blocked from entering, the remittances stop. This creates a double blow. Millions of people return home to economies already short on jobs, and those economies lose a critical source of income. The result is economic contraction, increased poverty, and social instability, conditions that can lead to violence and mass migration. The U.S. is not just hurting immigrants, it's destabilizing entire regions, and the consequences will come back to haunt us. Trump and Musk have also launched a major assault on federal employees, firing thousands under the guise of efficiency. But the numbers tell a different story. The federal civilian workforce has remained steady at about 2.5 million for the past 50 to 60 years, even as the U.S. population grew from 200 million to 340 million. So what this really means is that federal employees have been serving more people with the same resources, a sign of efficiency, not waste. Now, state and local governments actually employ far more workers, about 20 million compared to the federal government's 2.5 million. If the goal were truly efficiency, the focus would be on state and local government, not the federal workforce. The real motivation here is ideological and political. Targeting federal workers is really about scapegoating and distracting from deeper problems in the U.S. economy. Firing large numbers of federal employees sends a clear message to those who remain. Your job is less secure, and you'll be expected to do more work for the same pay. This so-called speed-up leads to burnout, lower morale, and, honestly, reduced public services for everyone. The Trump administration's recent tariffs and trade wars are not just about economics. They're about power and perception. By unilaterally imposing tariffs on allies and rivals alike, the United States is acting like a bully, not a leader. This approach alienates friends, empowers rivals like China, and, gives every other country an excuse to blame the United States for their own economic problems. China, for example, is now a major competitor for United States influence. It's able to buy what the United States won't and sell what the United States just can't. When the United States cuts off trade with Canada or Mexico, these countries can turn to China for markets and supplies. The world is no longer dependent on the United States in the way it once was. The attacks on workers, whether through wage cuts, privatization, or mass firings, are part of a larger pattern of class struggle in the United States. Employers and their political allies are, trying to shift the burden of economic decline onto workers, both here and abroad. But workers have always fought back and, well, they will again. The current policies are not just bad for workers. They're bad for the economy, for global stability, and for the future of the United States as a global leader. The only way to resist this trend is for workers to organize, mobilize, and, really demand better treatment. The stakes could not be higher. If these policies continue, we will see more poverty, more instability, and a further decline in United States influence around the world. The time to act is now. If you found this video insightful, please leave a comment below with your thoughts on these policy changes. And don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell for more in-depth analysis on politics, economics, and what it all means for you.